Pseudo-Dionysius in the Third Degree. The man behind the name. I want to introduce you to someone you've almost certainly never heard of, but whose ideas you've already encountered, whether you realize it or not. If you've been through the Third Degree, you've heard his thinking quoted almost directly. If you've sat in a Royal Arch chapter, his framework is structuring what you're experiencing. He's one of the most influential thinkers in the history of Western Christianity, and yet we don't even know his real name. He's known as Pseudo-Dionysius, or sometimes Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite. The pseudo isn't an insult, it just means he wrote under a pen name. He claimed to be Dionysius the Areopagite, a man mentioned in the Acts of the Apostles as being converted by St. Paul in Athens. That would place him in the 1st century. He wasn't. Modern scholarship has established that his writings date from the late 5th century, probably around 500 AD. The pseudonym gave his ideas enormous authority in the medieval church. Because if people believed he'd known St. Paul personally, his theology carried apostolic weight. But here's the thing. Even once we strip away the pseudonym, what he actually wrote is extraordinary. He produced 4 major works and 10 letters, and between them they laid the foundations for how the Western mystical tradition understands the relationship between human beings and the divine. His influence runs through virtually every major Christian mystic who came after him. The Victorians, Hugh and Richard of St. Victor, built their contemplative teaching on his framework. The author of The Cloud of Unknowing draws on him directly. Meister Eckhart, one of the most profound mystics of the medieval period, is working within a Dionysian framework. Thomas Aquinas cited him hundreds of times. John of the Cross, whose cartography of the Dark Night we'll look at in a later video, is working territory that Dionysius mapped first. So why should you, as someone working through the hidden curriculum, care about a 5th century theologian writing under a false name? Because there is compelling evidence that the Masonic ritual, specifically the emulation working that most of us in England and Wales use, is drawing on the same tradition, not borrowing casually or accidentally echoing it, but working within the same mystical lineage that Dionysius established.